So once I have my final map, the last thing I'll go over is actually exporting your map to the PDF, because eventually once you have this map built, you actually want to save it as an image, as a JPEG or a PDF file. So to do that, QGIS has this feature called Print Composer, and this is similar to what you find in ArcGIS or something like Paperspace in AutoCAD. It's going to actually let you preview your map and your layers, how they're actually going to appear on the page. So you can go to New Print Composer and just give it a name. So it's going to pull up this interface, and it's going to have an actual representation of a sheet of paper that you're going to use. So you specify the size here. And now you can create objects in this layout. And you can do a lot of objects like scale bars, north arrows, legends. We won't go over that too much today. The only thing we're going to do is actually create a map object, which will basically create a view of our map on this page. To do that, we'll just go to this button, Add New Map. You can drag out a window for your map, and then it's going to put in exactly what we see in the view. And if it's too small, you can actually change it in your view here, maybe by zooming in to the part we're interested in. And then you go back to your print editor, and in item properties is the properties for your actual map window. You can go to set to map canvas extend. You can change these numbers, but it's usually a bit hard to work with these. You can just change it in your view and hit that button to align the view to the same zoom level. The advantage of this print composer is you can see the actual representation of your points, unlike in here where the zoom changes the relative size. Here it's actually going to rasterize it and show you exactly what it's going to look like based on your resolution and size settings. And you can see now in this view the circles are actually too big. So what I can do now is go back to my map and either change the size of those circles by going back to our expression, and I might at this point divide everything by maybe 3. See, now they look a little too small in the view, but then we can go back to our print editor, and here we say update preview, and it'll update the preview based on the changes we made in the actual map. They're still overlapping, and I might actually like that, getting a little density, but you see the points are kind of overlapping each other. Another way I can control the overlap is when we go into our styles, is to actually specify blending mode. So here you can set basic properties like transparencies to make the whole layer more transparent. This is if you're trying to overlap a lot of data. You can also specify blending mode, and this is similar to what you can do with Photoshop, which controls how different layers overlap. And here you can specify that for the whole layer as a whole if you're trying to overlap many layers, or you can actually do it by feature. And by default, normal, they'll just overlap directly, so one will cover up the other. But you can specify a lot of other ways to do it. For instance, multiply will actually multiply the colors together, and addition will actually add the color values together of overlapping features. So I'm going to select multiply and hit OK. You see here we don't see any difference because they're not overlapping. If we zoom out, we can see a little bit of how that multiply is working. And now if we go back to our map editor and we do update preview, you can see now that our points are the same size, but now when they overlap, you see a little bit more of how they're overlapping. Okay. And that's our final map. So now I can save this composer, this layout, and to export to a file, I can just use these icons up here. I can export to an image file, an SVG, this is a general kind of vector format, or PDF. If I go to PDF, it's just going to warn me that this kind of multiply styles can't be saved as a vector layer, so it's going to save it as a raster file. That's okay. And now I just create a name, it exports it, and now I can see it on my desktop. Alright, so that's the whole demo. You might see as I've been working on this, it's created all of these files on my desktop, which at first might be a bit overwhelming, you know, just as you're working with it, it's creating all these shapefiles. But if you use this naming convention, it actually could be a good thing, because now you can see the whole workflow of how you've processed this data. You can always go back to it and see what you did. Okay, so as long as you keep it organized, all these shapefiles could actually be pretty useful.